What is the purpose of the clutch? A clutch is a mechanical mechanism that engages and disengages power transmission, particularly between a drive shaft and a driven shaft. Clutches link and separate two rotating shafts in the most basic use, drive shaft or line shaft. One shaft, the driving member, is usually connected to an engine and the other to a power unit in this device, while the other shaft, the driven member, supplies output power forward. The motion are usually rotational, but linear clutches are also available. They used to be able to start and stop a component of a system while leaving the rest of the power transmission system running. The clutch allows a gear system gearbox to be inserted between the engine and the wheels, allowing for easier gear change while the engine is operating. Transmit the torque from the engine to the drivetrain, deliver engine power smoothly to allow for smooth vehicle movement, work softly and as quietly as possible to reduce drive-related vibration, and when the drivetrain is put to an improper use, the drivetrain will be protected, is the function of the clutch. So why you need a clutch? A clutch and state which type of clutch is most commonly used. Why you need a clutch? Clutches are vital to the running of any vehicle, whether it is a motorcycle, automobile, van or truck. The clutch is a vehicle component that joins spinning shaft and transfer power from the engine to the wheels. Power does not transfer effectively without a proper functioning clutch, and the automobile will not shift. Because a vehicle engine is always turning, the clutch is used to engage or disengage the rotation in order to propel or stop the vehicle. When working properly, the clutch is attached to a shaft that comes from the engine and shaft that deliver energy to the wheels, and it ensures that both shafts spin at the same speed. A clutch plate and a flywheel make up the clutch. Spring tension keeps a pressure plate against the clutch plate when the clutch is disengaged. When you press down on the clutch pedal to shift into gear and move, the same spring press down on the clutch plate, causing it to engage with the flywheel. This action guarantees that the engine shaft is connected to the wheels and that they are both rotating at the same rate. When your vehicle is in motion and you wish to change gear, depressing the clutch pedal releases the pressure plate from the clutch plate, allowing you to temporarily disengage the shaft while you be up of it or down, giving you control over the vehicle's speed. Most automobiles employ a friction clutch with all of the standard components. A friction clutch engages and disengages the flywheel and transmission using a pressure plate, a clutch plate or clutch disc, and a release bearing which can be operated horizontally or by cable. The majority of cars will have a single plate clutch, with only higher power engine requiring a multi-plate clutch to effectively engage the transmission. So this is the anatomy of the single plate clutch. So a single plate clutch features only one plate that is attached to the clutch plate spine. The single plate clutch is one of the clutch's most important components. The clutch plate is a thin metallic disc with two friction surfaces on each side. The engine crankshaft will walk with the flywheel attached to it. When the clutch pedal is depressed, a pressure plate is fastened to the flywheel through the clutch spring, which provides the axial force to keep the clutch engaged. The pressure plate is free to glide on the clutch shaft. Between the flywheel and the pressure plate is a friction plate. On both sides of the clutch plate, there is a friction lining.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day everyone. So today topics we gonna share some differences of wet clutches and dry clutch. So we can see here the description. The dry clutch lubricant is not applied and hence the torque transmitting of these clutches is better. So wet clutches lubricant is applied to dissipate the heat from the frictional surface in contact. The torque transmitting capacity is slightly reduced due to decreased coefficient of friction between the contact surface due to presence of lubricant. So what are the types of plate? Dry clutch do not have oil supply and are generally single plate. Wet clutches generally have multiple clutch plates and have a supply of oil to lubricate and cool the components. So the usage of a dry clutch is used less torque situation where friction level are low. Wet clutches are used in high torque situation where friction level will be high and therefore clutch temperature will soar without some form of coolant. So here we can see the life cycle of the dry clutch is often less when compared to that wet clutch. Wet clutch life cycle of is often high when compared to that of dry clutch. So we can see here the maintenance and requirement cost for dry clutch is a bit higher, while for the wet clutch the maintenance required and costing of the wet clutch are very much low. So what are the size of the dry clutch are generally larger in size when compared to multiple plate wet clutches. They are often smaller in size, generally used in applications where there is not enough space to install large single plate dry clutch. So the coefficient or the friction for dry clutch, they have single frictional surface to transmit the power between two plates. Therefore, they do not have much better coefficient of friction. Wet clutch, they provide better coefficient of friction as the surface area is increasing due to the presence of the multiple plates. So the wear and tear for the dry clutch is very much more, and the wet clutches is very much less in wear and tear. So the next one, which is the more efficient, wet clutches or dry clutches? So in my opinion, the dry clutches transmission are said to be more efficient because of the reduced volume of oil being pumped through the system. This is because the torque capacity of this model that are being designed to be lower, which is a Volkswagen 7-speed gearbox pairing to its 1.4-liter TSI engines is a dry clutch variant, and so are the dual clutch gearbox found on the current generation, which is Ford Fiesta and Ford Focus. That makes one thing clear, that no car company intentionally puts out the product into the market that it doesn't think will last the lifespan of the car. So the definition of the lifespan is not forever of course, but an acceptable service lifespan that differs between manufacturer or products, usually at least 10 years onward. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, next is what are the main parts of the clutch assembly and what is the function of the clutch pressure plate. The main part of the clutch assembly first is the flywheel, the part that permanently fixed to the engine crank. Every time the engine rotates, so does this rotating mechanical device. The teeth that cover the edge engage the starter motor with a pinion and start the car. On the other hand, is friction surface. The face of the wheel has a rough surface and the clutch plate acts against it. They play a very crucial role. Next is the clutch plate. The disc used in the clutch plate has high friction materials attached around its perimeter. Both sides of the disc have the friction products installed where one side is forced against the face of the flywheel and the other side on the pressure plate. These friction products are an integral part of the clutch system, and hence clutch friction product suppliers design them very meticulously so that they are flawless. For the next is the clutch plate spring. The spring is the clutch system, ensures smooth and linear power delivery. They remain mounted on the inner side of the clutch plate for easy movement when clutch is engaged. By damping the torsional vibration, it absorbs any fluctuation in the engine's power delivery. Next is the pressure plate. The plate attached to the flywheel is called a pressure plate. It spins along with the flywheel, covering the clutch plate from one side. It presses it against the friction plate. When the clutch pedal is applied, it clamps down on the clutch plate and enables swift gear movement and prevents vibration that results in wear and tear. And lastly, the main part is the diaphragm spring. When we apply the clutch pedal, the motion is directly transmitted to the diaphragm spring. This makes the diaphragm spring to pull the pressure plate away from the clutch plate and allow free movement of gear. Okay, for the next question, function of the clutch pressure plate. The clutch pressure plate is the mechanism that transfers the engine torque to the transmission input shaft through the clutch disc. It is a metal component that has spring and levers inside of it that are controlled by a release fork attached to a shifter. For the application, when the driver steps onto the clutch pedal, the springs inside the pressure plate are compressed. Pull the plate away from the clutch flywheel and stop the clutch disc from moving. Then, the driver shifts into the desired gear and release the pedal and the levers release. Also, the spring expand and push the clutch plate back into the disc, which engages the flywheel and gets your vehicle wheels powered again. Thank you.
So how vibration are damped by the clutch disc? To prevent such noise, the NVH, noise, vibration and harshness, is absorbed by a clutch damper function which suppresses the movement of the free spinning gears and attenuates the vibration transmitted to the transmission. The clutch damper function is provided by a series of springs located between the flywheel and the transmission. If the spring used for the clutch is not appropriate at a certain engine speed, the vibration in the transmission and the difference gear will be amplified. This will aggravate the noise of gear rattling and transmit more vibration to the vehicle body. By using a spring with the appropriate rigidity, the engine vibration is prevented from being transmitted to the transmission. What is diaphragm clutch? Diaphragm clutch is one of the type of automobile clutch which use the diaphragm spring for the engagement and disengagement of the clutch. As compared to plate type clutch, in diaphragm clutch, diaphragm spring is used at the place of coil spring to keep axial force, clamping force on pressure plate. So this is how diaphragm clutch works. At disengagement phase, when driver press the clutch pedal through a linkage release fork, press the release bearing. Due to the release fork presses the release bearing press the middle portion of the diaphragm to move inward. Inward movement of middle portion of diaphragm, outside part of diaphragm also move backward as well, as pressure plate also move backward. Therefore, due to pressure plate backward movement, pressure on pressure plate get removed, so there is no friction between plate and flywheel. Hence, no power transmission take place. Hence, clutch get disengaged. During engagement phase, when the driver releases the clutch pedal, results in diaphragm again come to original position. Hence, outside part of diaphragm move inside and press the pressure plate on friction plate and flywheel. Therefore, friction occurs between them. Hence, power or torque against starts transmit from flywheel to clutch shaft, hence clutch get engaged. So last but not least, this is the advantages using diaphragm clutch. First of all, it's lighter in weight. Second, it has compact size. Third is diaphragm spring applies more force, hence it has higher torque transmission capacity. And the fourth is it has less rotating part, hence no problem of noising working. And the last one, it has dynamic balancing even at the high speed. So that's all from us, Group 11. Thank you for watching and may we see you again in the next video.